Hello, everyone. Our research project is on the relationship between childhood asthma and ozone levels in Fresno County. I'm Karen Claire, and these are my group members.
My name is Sita Carr.
And my name is Haley McFall.
There are multiple pollutant concentrations associated with poor air quality, such as ozone, PM2.5, and pollen, which affect the number of emergency department visits for pediatric asthma. There's been a study that has confirmed tree coverage associated with overall better human health. However, before analyzing the relationship between tree coverage and pediatric asthma and its benefits, we first need to make a connection between specific air pollutant concentrations to pediatric asthma-linked ED visits. Our research question is, do the ozone levels in Fresno County influence the number of emergency department visits in adolescents due to asthma? Our gap is, within the Fresno County, are rates of the emergency department visits predictable based on the levels of ozone? We are looking at the increase of adolescent asthma visits in relation to the ozone levels in Fresno County. This map of California is categorized by county. Fresno County can be seen towards the center and is the darkest shade of blue with a rate of 153.9. The legend on the right shows that an increase of the blue color relates to an increase of the average rate of ED visits due to asthma in adolescents.
As far as our methods go, we began by analyzing air pollution, specifically PM2.5 and ozone concentrations, in childhood asthma between 2016 to 2018. From here, we established a link between ozone and asthma. For this data, we utilized the CHHS database, which, as Kieran mentioned, measured ED visits due to asthma per 10,000 children. We also utilized the average asthma rates between 2016 to 2018 from the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development Emergency Department. For our air quality index, we used the California Air Resource Board to find the amount of days that the ozone level was above 0.07 parts per million. We ended up using 0.07 and disregarded 0.075 and 0.08 because the amount of days at these levels were outliers, and 0.07 was the best average. The air quality index was measured with an AQI device, and our respiratory and air data have been computed into graphs using Google Sheets.
All right, so moving on to our results. So the figure on the left, figure 1, shows the average ED visits in adolescents from asthma from 2016 to 2018. The x-axis represents years, while the y-axis represents average ED visits. Moving on to the figure on the right, figure 2 represents the H index over 0.07 ppm, also from 2016 to 2018. The x-axis again represents the years, but the y-axis in this case is the H index over 0.07 ppm. From both of these graphs, we can see a similar trend as it increases from 2016 to 2017 and decreases from 2017 to 2018, so they're both related. And lastly, figure 3 shows the annual averages of PM2.5 and ED visits from 2016 to 2018. The x-axis represents years, while the y-axis represents the annual averages. The orange line represents the annual ED visits, but the gray line at the bottom is the annual PM2.5. Both of them increased from 2016 to 2017, but from 2017 to 2018, the annual ED visits decrease, but annual PM2.5 continues to increase, so they're not related. From these graphs, we can notice a similar trend about the number of ED visits and the number of days over 0.07 ppm. The ozone levels increase in Fresno County, so ED visits and vice versa. Therefore, ozone level is probably a stimulant that causes respiratory trouble, thus affecting the ED visits directly due to asthma in adolescents in Fresno County.
As a recap, we initially analyzed PM2.5 in asthma, but rolled it out as it showed an opposite trend from 2017 to 2018, as you saw in graph 3. However, ozone and ED visits showed similar trends, as annual ED and ozone both decreased from the year 2017 to 2018. From there, we can make a definitive conclusion that as ozone levels decrease, so do ED visits. showing that ozone is an underlying stimulant for asthma. And again, that shows a direct relationship between the two. Finally, to close the gap, we can say that as ozone levels increase, it is predictable that adolescent ED visits will also increase. These are references. Thank you for listening.